In this video, we are going to talk about how to craft an APA citation for a scholarly journal that you find online. So one of the best resources for building citations is Purdue Online Writing Lab, also known as Purdue OWL. To get to Purdue OWL, go to the library homepage, library.fairmontstate.edu, and look for the Citation Help button under the Library Services section. So here's the Library Service section, and here's that Citation Help, Purdue OWL. Once in Purdue OWL, your menu of writing resources is on the left-hand side. We're going to click on Research and Citation. You can see there are a number of citation styles here, but we're going to pick APA because that's what you're using in this class. There's a ton of helpful information here about APA citation, including an introduction and an overview, but let's select the Formatting and Style Guide to figure out how to do our in-text and reference page citations. From the in-text citations basics page, we can see that APA uses an author and date citation format. So the most basic way to represent this, if you're talking about the article but not directly quoting it, is with the author and the publication year inside parentheses separated by a comma. If you work the author's name into your paragraph with what OWL calls a signal phrase, you only need to put the date in the parentheses. Now, if you are directly quoting the article, you'll need to include the page number, or failing that, the paragraph number. And here's an example. Let's go back to our article from the last tutorial. So we actually have two authors here. How do we handle that? If we go to Purdue OWL, we can take a look at the authors page. If we scroll down here to a work by two authors, we can see that the in-text citation includes both the authors' names. If they're mentioned as part of your paragraph, you write the two names normally. Here our example is Wegner and Petty. Inside the parenthetical, you put an ampersand between them. So, knowing this information, knowing that we have two authors, here's how our in-text citations are going to look. You can see we've got our authors and the date listed inside the parenthetical in the first example and worked into the body of the paper in the second. If we quote these authors, as in the third example, we have to remember to put the page or paragraph number in our citation. Now, if we had three or more authors, we'd list it this way with the little phrase et al., and then we get to feel cool for using Latin. Okay, so that's our in-text citation. What about the reference page at the end of our paper? Let's check out reference list, articles and periodicals. We see that the format for a print article or an online journal article are essentially the same. The primary difference is when you access an article or other resource online, you must include the URL or DOI. If you've never heard of a DOI, it's simply a unique and permanent web address or URL that goes straight to an article called a direct object identifier. Okay, so we've got our authors' names listed with last name, then first initial in order. Then we've got our publication year in parentheses with a period after it. We've got the title of the article, the title of the periodical or journal, the volume number, the issue number in parentheses, and the pages. And then we've got that DOI or URL on the end. So looking back at our article, let's start to put this thing together. So we've got our reference page, and our reference heading is centered there at the top. And we're going to go over here to the left-hand side, and we are going to start putting this thing in. So we've got our two authors. Okay, and then we've got our publication year that's going to be in parentheses with a period after it. Now, all those little details are important to getting it right, so make sure that you pay attention to those. Then we've got the title of the article. So even though a lot of words in our title are capitalized, in APA, you only capitalize the first word of the title and any proper nouns. The rest of it will be lowercase. So we're going to type it like this. So everything is lowercase except our proper nouns. US and then COVID-19 is also going to be capitalized. The title of our journal is Education Sciences. And we're going to make sure that we italicize this. And we've got our volume number up here. We've got volume 11. So we are going to italicize that as well. Now, we don't have an issue number for this one. So this is an odd example. We've got an article number, but not an issue number, and that's not the same thing. So in this case, we're going to omit our issue number. If we had one, we would be putting it not in italics, in parentheses right after this 11. But as it is, we're going to stop right here. Make sure that you look carefully with your article to look for an issue number. There usually is one. We also don't have particular page numbers. We know that this is 17 pages, but when we actually look at the article, we see that it is actually listed as pages 1 of 17, 2 of 17. So we're going to omit that as well. I'm not seeing a DOI listed here in EBSCO. Sometimes you can see it in this information, the DOI. If we didn't have one, we would need to get the URL from this permalink. However, I think that we should check the article just to see again. So we've got some citation information over here on the left-hand side, and you can see there is actually a DOI here. So let's make sure that we put that on the end of our citation. And that is not going to be italicized. It's a good thing we checked, right? So the last thing to remember when you're crafting your citation is to do the hanging indent. So your top line sticks out over your bottom lines. These are going to indent a 1/2 inch. And the way you do that, if you don't have your ruler available, you can hit View in Word and then check the ruler. And then you're going to highlight from your second line on down. If it was longer, you'd have more to highlight. And then you're going to grab your little bottom triangle and slide it over to the 1/2 inch mark. Done. Just out of curiosity, let's check the generated citation. We took a look at this earlier. Let's see how close it actually is. It's pretty close, but I see two things here that aren't quite 100% correct. For one thing, they've capitalized all the words in the title, and Purdue OWL lets us know that that is a no-no. And then the other thing is they have left off the DOI or URL entirely. Remember, EBSCO didn't have this information. We found it in the article, and so they didn't have it to put at the end. So these are the types of things you need to look out for if you aren't creating your own citations. You can see here why creating your own citation is the better way to go. So this is how to cite an article in the text of your paper and on your reference page at the end. Always remember, if you have any questions about citation, locating resources, or really anything at all, you can come and see us in the library or use the Ask Us button in the upper right-hand corner of the library homepage to ask questions from afar. Thanks so much for watching and best of luck on your assignment.